Festy Hub Podcast.
Yo, what's going on, my fellow revelers? Welcome back to another episode of the Festy Hub Podcast. I'm your host, Manny. I go as Frisky Hug online. And today's special guest is Neil Merchant. He is the original creator of the Infinity Mirror, like the totem. I don't know if you guys have seen it in some of like the viral TikTok videos, but gosh, I don't know the actual design. It's like a little like hexagon looking thing, and it has it's basically like an infinity light show inside. We're gonna dive in more into like all of that, and he's also got like a lot of really interesting festival stories, and I kind of wanted to get his opinion on what he thought, like, the rating for some of these festivals were, and then we get into like onto like a bunch of other stories as well. But that's who we have for today. As of life updates, I do have like a bunch of job interviews this week. This week's just been, I've been very fortunate. So very grateful that I have the ability to have so many interviews, and I'm really just looking for like the right job like right now. I'm kind of looking for something remote, so it's kind of been like a little tricky road, because a lot of like the jobs are like, oh, we're hybrids, we get to come into the office like 3 times a week or something. I'm like, dude, I'm looking for something very specific. I'm really trying to like live a lifestyle where I can be at a hotel room, do my work, and then head to the festival, because it's like where my life is headed. That's what it's gonna end up turning into, and I really can't like keep asking for every week off or every weekend off. But I'm gonna be going back to school soon. I was gonna be going in the fall. Now I'm going in the, I guess, following spring. I'm trying to go to UCF. So any of you guys that have been to UCF, and let me know. That's kind of like the route that I'm going to. I'm trying to get into like event management, that kind of realm. I don't really know. Might change myself into like maybe social media type marketing instead. I really don't know what my major is gonna be. I'm still kind of like figuring things out. Kind of just seeing where my future is headed and going that direction with my degree. And then as for the military, I got out. I'm still working through my disability and those kind of claims. And yeah, I think that's it for like life updates. I just want to make sure, because some of you guys actually do keep up with everything that I got going on in my life. That's where I'm at so far. Got a lot of cool guests coming up for the end of this whole year. I have a lot of DJs honestly lined up very soon. I'm gonna be very, very happy to kind of show you guys who these DJs are. A lot of producers, a couple like upcoming, a couple big names at the end of this year. But I think that's it. Yeah, let's get started with the podcast. All right, what's going on, my fellow revelers? I'd like to welcome Neil to the podcast.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going, brother? So
Good.
Electric Forest happened. It was phenomenal. I mean, I heard literally nobody was talking any shit about it. So it must have been great. One of my friends, Maria Chubby Wubby, you left this really huge impact on her, and she DMs me immediately, and she's like, "You need to have Neil on the podcast." She's like, "Stop whatever you're doing." She's like, "Hit him up seriously." She's like, "He's so inspirational, and what just the amount of time that we've talked, he's already shown me so much. He's like, you got to have him." So then obviously hit you up, like, let's work something out. Let's figure out a time, and that brings us to this. That's kind of how I know you.
Yeah,
But for the viewers that don't really know you, would you mind kind of giving us like a quick rundown, a little quick intro?
yeah, for sure. And actually, it's funny because that running into her was one of my favorite interactions with Forrest. So a little bit of, and I'll get into that in a second, but a little bit about me. I have been going to festivals since 2013. Electric Forest was my first festival, and
Nice.
it was all over from then. At one point, I was going to probably 12, 13, 14 festivals a year for a couple of years, and now I've slowed down a lot, and we've got a few staples. But I am a software developer by trade. I did corporate software development for a Fortune 500 company for about 7 years, and then my festival claim to fame, which is what I'm doing right now, is this art piece in the background here. We made a totem version of that for our Forest 2018 was the first festival where we brought that out, and it was started out as just like a fun art project, and kind of just blew up overnight into something more than we could have ever imagined. So it went from being a festival totem to we created a company around it, and we sell high-end museum grade versions made out of glass and aluminum to art collectors and museums and all sorts of crazy random people around the world. So yeah, and my Instagram name is Phozee, and so yeah, running into
wait, hold on. What is the reasoning behind that name?
Nothing really. It just kind of like evolved out of it was like a gaming name.
Okay.
I'm a big gamer. I used to play competitive games, play tournaments or whatever. So always had to have a gaming handle. So it started off as one thing and just kind of evolved over time into Phozee. It doesn't really have any specific meaning. It's just like syllables that kind of sound cool together. That's about it. Nothing exciting. Nothing interesting. But
and then what about like Maria? You were saying you were gonna
yeah. So I was walking into the venue one day, and she had joined my group camp through some friends.
Okay.
And I didn't realize at the time that she was Chubby Wubby. I just knew Maria. And so I was walking into the venue on like day 2 or day 3 or something like that, and I had Carl over my shoulder. And as I'm walking past her, I didn't realize it was her at the time, but I'm walking past her, and she goes, "Oh, hey, Phozee." And then I turn around and I say hi. And she's like, "Wait, Neil, wait, are you the same person?" And I'm just like, yeah.
She's quite the character.
Yeah. So that was super funny. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's like the only difference is I don't have them here, but like whenever I'm at a festival, I've got like my red, I wear prescription sunglasses. I can't do contacts. So I've got the same kind of glasses, but they've got like red polarized lenses. And so it's like when I put the glasses on, I go from Clark Kent to Superman. I'm just like a whole new persona. People don't recognize me or something.
Yeah,
so
I used to
super funny.
I used to have glasses, and last year, I think December, I ended up getting PRK, just scraped them off, and
oh yeah.
Oh man, it was a terrible 2-week recovery, man. It was pretty bad. It's like you're just so light sensitive. I was getting headaches.
You are really.
I'm like, just sucks, dude. I had this like walk-in closet, and I would sleep there every night because I just couldn't deal with the cracks of light. It's so bad. But I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, worth it. Like I just hate putting on glasses. I hate my glasses fogging up. I hate not being able to see without them.
All of it sucks. I'm just so used to it now because I've had them for so long. So it's it's a pain, but it's one that you get used to for sure.
What are some of like the festivals that you've been to? What are some like memorable festivals? I know you've been to a lot. And I know that you went to Shambhala.
Shambhala, we just got back from Shambhala. That was the weekend. So last weekend was OMF, which I'm sure we'll get into. Weekend before that was Shambhala, which this was my 5th time at Shambhala, and I don't have enough good things to say about that festival. It is, for as much as I love all the other festivals, Electric Forest, I've been to Lightning in a Bottle, which is also amazing. Lost Lands, of course, is awesome, but Shambhala takes the cake. It is really just, there's so many things about it that set it apart from other festivals, and it's such an effort to get to, and it necessarily has barriers that prevent just whoever from coming. Like if you're there, anyone who's there, it's like they really want to be there. Either someone that really loves them brought them, or they heard all the good things and they were like, I'm making this happen. So
are you more of like an arts experience type of like guy, like when it comes to like festivals, or are you like, obviously I guess we're comparing it to like Ultra, right? Ultra versus your Electric Forest, people like
I mean
things.
I would say I'm more into all that kind of experiential stuff. Obviously, like stage production and lineups and all those things are great and super important, but on one hand, when a lineup is so crazy that you're like, I gotta be at this set and this set and this stage and running back and forth, it's like it takes away a little bit from the experience. So as much as people were complaining about the Forest and Shambhala lineups this year, because they did, I mean, I'm sure that their budgets for talent was much lower than it was in 2020, given that we had 2 years of no festivals. But it's also a blessing in disguise when there aren't like a million headliners you want to see, because it gives you a chance to kind of just de-stress, you're not you don't feel like you have to be somewhere at
Mhm.
any given moment. You can just kind of take your time to take in the whole experience, and yeah, you're
That's
not
how
running
it
around as
that
much.
that's how it felt about the EDC Orlando lineup, right? It
Yeah,
came out and then everyone's hyping it up. And then they're like, everyone's asking me, they're like, are you gonna go? It's like I didn't see you post about it. I'm like, honestly,
yeah.
one, no free promos out of me. And two, I just don't
He knows
like
his worth. The man knows his worth.
I know my value. And I'm not about to post no lineup unless you're paying me.
Yeah,
Uh, and and we'll talk about the lineup and how good it is. And they're like, oh my God, like who are we gonna see? And I'm like, dude, this is the same shit every year. It never changes. Like the lineup changes, yeah, but it's
yeah,
always the same shit. There's always gonna be, two main artists you gotta see at the same time. I'm like, at this point, don't worry about it. Whatever you see, you're gonna see. The most important part is like you're gonna be hanging out with your friends. You're gonna make connections with other people. Hopefully, we meet new people. Hopefully, we form a family. That's what's
yeah,
really important. I'll tell you
yeah,
this, man. Last year, I tried. I was like, I gotta go to this 3v3. Never went to it. I ended
yeah,
up going to like Excision, who I've
yeah.
seen like 20 times, but
It's just you gotta go with the flow. That's how it goes.
but there's that one fucking person that's like, well, I've never seen Excision. All right, guys, we're all
You got
going.
to.
Like,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it's not about it's not you think it's about the lineup, but it's really not. It's about just having that experience. And right now, it was like,
Yeah.
they've never seen Excision, and that experience is gonna be better than me going by myself to a
Yeah.
3v3.
Yes. I was having the same conversation with I'm blanking. I've had met up with so many people in the last few weeks, but I was having this conversation with somebody where they were like, "Yeah, I was at Forest," and I was like, "I'm not going to be babysitting all these new people." Like, I almost didn't want to bring them because I'm like, I want to have my own Forest time. And then when it came down to it, and they like, I wanted to be somewhere, and they wanted to go somewhere else. I really wanted to be there with them for that first
Yeah, it's
experience, because
so
it just
true.
everyone's first experience is so important and
It
magical,
is.
and it's like I'll throw my plans out the window to be there with
Yeah,
people
exactly,
who
man.
are going through that. So
Yeah. Oh my God. It's exactly, man. It's so right now, like, one of my best friends, he's very new to like to the rave scene, the festival scene. And it's like he's looking at these lineups and he's just like, oh my God, like, what are we gonna do? And I'm just like, honestly, I'm not worried about it because I'm probably just gonna follow you. Like that's
yeah,
probably that's all it is. I'm gonna follow you and I'm gonna take care of you and I'm gonna make sure you're fine. That's it. I like if I wanted to go see Excision, I would probably go backstage and shake his hand, call it a day. Like
yeah,
I don't know, seeing these sets like for 100th time, I'm just over it. I look forward to like the back to backs though. Those are some of my favorites. If there's a back to back going on any festival, there's one like hey, like we have to see this. My reasoning behind it, we're never probably gonna see this like a live set ever again.
yeah.
Slander back to backs of Tronics, Forbidden Kingdom. I'm never gonna forget that.
I haven't heard anything about it, but I wish I'd been there for it because I know it was amazing.
Talk to me about your design behind you. You
Yeah.
said you made that in 2018,
Yes.
or how long did it take you to make? I guess for like the
So
start of the design, or was it a school project?
yeah, so I'll maybe if I take even one step back, and we will revisit Shambhala 2017.
Okay.
So that was my second year at Shambhala, and I remember getting there the first night during like whatever the pre-party, and at one of the stages, there was this guy with a totem, and it was basically a sphere with 720 LEDs all around it.
Okay.
His name is the totem's name is Soul Crusher. If anybody wants to go look that up, SOL_Crusher. And it was the coolest thing I had ever seen.
Mhm.
And that was my inspiration, where I was like, I've had a totem for years where I'm not an engineer. I mean, I'm a software engineer, but I'm not like, I don't know how to do soldering or like anything like that in terms of doing like electronics. So like my totems have always been like funny meme picture, and maybe
Yeah,
like
yeah.
put some EL wire and
Yeah,
some
me
an
too.
LED strip
Basic
and like,
shit.
yeah. So I saw that and I was like, that's the fucking coolest thing I've ever seen. I need that. So my good friend David, who is my business partner on DeepLight Labs, the name of the company where we do the stuff full time. At the time, he was unemployed. He was just kind of taking a break. He had just ended another job,
Mm.
and I wanted this totem. And he's the smartest person I know. I've known him since second grade, he's always been an engineer, every type of engineer. He also did corporate software engineering after college. That's what he went to school for and all that. But his skills are everywhere. He's been, tinkering with his dad in the garage since as long as I've known him.
Yeah.
So I was like, you're the smartest dude I know. I need something awesome. I don't have a budget. Obviously, I don't want to spend like $10,000, but like whatever you need, make something cool. And so he rendered out the design for Carl, is what we call the one that we take to festivals, which funny story about that at Forest. But for those that don't know, Carl is a Forest urban legend. They say that he took too much acid, got lost from his friends. And so to this day, people will wander the forest, and even other festivals, you hear it all the time. People will just randomly yell Carl, and everyone will join in chants of Carl. So
you know what he reminds me of? I don't know if you ever seen that Netflix series called Umbrella Academy.
I'm familiar. I haven't seen it, but
I forget what that cube's name is, but it's an actual person too.
Okay.
It's reminds me.
Maybe it's Carl. Maybe
it might be Carl.
Yeah. So we he made the first render for Carl, and at first I wasn't sure what to make of it. It wasn't what I had imagined or envisioned. And so I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool, but let's table that and let's like play with some other ideas maybe. And after I kind of revisited a couple times and looked at the rendering a little bit more, I was like, no, this is probably going to look pretty good in real life. Like, let's at least give it a shot. And so we spent the next 6 months or so doing some iterations, real weird challenges with like trying to cut mirrors into pentagons. It's really hard to measure a pentagon. There's the specifications for a pentagon are strange. We started in September of 2017, right after Shambhala. And I think we had the first one done in March of 2018. And as soon as it was done, David took a video of it, sent it to me, and I posted it in the Shambhala. There's a public Shambhala Facebook group. So I posted it in there. And the next morning when I woke up, it had like thousands of shares. And we were getting like emails from all sorts of crazy people around the world interested in what we were doing, inviting us to events to bring it and all this stuff. So it really literally overnight blew up. And we knew this would be exhibit. We were like, we knew this would be cool, but we didn't realize how much other people were going to like it. And we ended up going to the first event that we actually took it to. Was not a music festival. It was a virtual reality conference in LA called VR LA. It hasn't happened since 2018, unfortunately, but it was an amazing time. They sent us some VIP tickets to come, just bring it out, walk around the show floor with it. And we met all sorts of cool people, made great connections, collaborating with some guys in the VR space. Even to this day, we're doing VR Carl experiences. Where it's like you're inside of it. Everyone's like, can you build one big enough to be inside of it? It's like, well, the challenge with that is A, cost, and B, if you're inside of it, it's reflecting. So I guess I should explain how it works, but it's all reflections on the inside. So if you're standing inside of it, you're reflecting too, and you'll just see your own reflection. You have to be invisible to really get the full effect. So when you do it in virtual reality, you can have an invisible camera inside of it, right? So the way it works essentially is it's a geometric shape. Every edge has LED strips along lining it, and every face is a two-way mirror. So if you think about like how sunglasses work, where you can see through your sunglasses, if someone's looking at your sunglasses, they just see a reflection because the outside is so much brighter than the side that your eyes are on. Or if you think about any kind of like cop interrogation.
I was gonna say like an interrogation
where the lights in the room, where they're listening, the lights in that room are very dark and the lights in the interrogation room are very bright. So people in the room can't see through that two-way, one-way, whatever you want to call it. People call it both of those.
And then is there like another shape inside of it, or is just the surroundings?
Just the edges.
Okay.
So every face is a mirror and every edge is an LED strip. And so you get the effect of all the light from the LED strips are just reflecting back and forth into infinity, essentially. There's some special tricks that we have with how the mirrors work, where we can kind of focus the light to the center. Because a lot of the times with infinity mirror art, if you've ever seen any of that, or if you look up images online, when you have just two flat mirrors that are parallel, you get kind of a tunnel black hole effect where the middle is just black and the light kind of goes up to a point and then disappears. But what we do with our mirrors is we curve them very slightly. So instead of being flat like that, they have a very slight curvature on the inside edge. And so what that does is that brings the light, it kind of pulls it into the center. So you really get an effect of, instead of tunneling, it's like if you've ever seen Interstellar, where
Yeah.
one of the final scenes is like they're in that 4-dimensional bookcase and it just literally looks like it goes on forever. You get more of that feeling where like all of what you can see is filled with light instead of getting black spots everywhere.
What if you had a laser in there?
We haven't actually played with any laser stuff. We really need to do that. Laser, fog, all sorts of cool stuff.
What would happen if you had the infinity mirrors but inside out, so it's outwards, and then you place it as an orb literally floating in the center?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to
try that one out.
You're getting all sorts of ideas now. I love it. But
simmer down.
Yeah. But yeah, so VRLA was our first actual event. And then actually the first iteration that we built was, it didn't ever make it into the field. I did take it to Lightning in a Bottle 2018. And the first version was made to essentially come apart into multiple pieces.
Okay.
And so I could put it in a carry-on bag and just take it with me.
Oh, hell yeah.
And we put in a good effort, but it did not work out. I fried something immediately as soon as I got to Lightning in a Bottle. I put it together. It was on for like 5 seconds and then it died on me. So that was very sad because I was so excited to bring it out and show it to everybody. But we definitely learned a lot. We learned that that was not feasible. The way we travel with it now is we have a box that we built, a custom wood box that functions as a checked bag for flights. Okay. So we fly Southwest everywhere, right? So we can fly with it for free. It's just kind of a bulky thing to carry around. But
yeah, I had I don't know if you know Vibe with Aid. The way she travels with her totem is she just ships it she finds somebody who like lives there, or maybe like
I'm too cheap for that. I'm not paying for that.
Yeah, true.
It's also, it's extra logistics of having to like have somebody on site to like send it to that you trust that isn't gonna like mess with it or whatever. So the fact that we can fly with it, I mean, it was a pain in the ass to build that box, and we're gonna have to do it again at some point when it breaks down. But so far our negative interactions with airport security have been somewhat limited. We did have one incident where TSA decided to open it up and inspect it. And this was luckily on our way home from a festival. It was Shambhala 2019.
Like inspect the sphere itself. Like pull it apart. Oh shit.
Not actually take it apart because it's one piece. Yeah. But they, for whatever reason, instead of using the scanners that they're supposed to use, this was in Seattle. And we now know that they have the scanner that, like the special type of scanner where you don't need to open the box. And it's like what they use for firearms and all sorts of stuff. So you just put it through the scanner and you don't touch it. Well, they didn't do that. They opened it up, they poked around, they inspected it, they tried to put it back in. And the thing is that if you've ever seen our totem at a festival, it's got the geometric shape, and then there's a 3D printed hand that goes underneath that we zip tie in 3 spots. And that contains it contains a mini computer and a bunch of wiring, and that comes apart and kind of sits in the box next to, well, it used to sit in the box in a very specific angle. We now don't do that anymore, because if you try and put it back in the box, not at the right angle, and close the box is not going to close properly. And it's got these screws that holds the lid on. So they tried to put the lid on and screw it, but it was not sitting flat because they didn't put the hand in right. And so they just did their best, sent it down the line. And then at some point, a heavy fucking piece of luggage comes, lands on it, slams the thing closed, and it caused a lot of damage. It destroyed pretty much all of it. It messed up the wiring and the LED strips. It shattered several mirrors. We had to basically rebuild the whole thing. And now we have a fun claim to fame that we sued the federal government over this, and we after a 1.5-year battle, we won, and they paid us quite a bit what it cost us to put it all together. So that was the one negative interaction we've had with flying with it. Other than that, it's always been very smooth, very easy. Don't have to worry about logistics of shipping it and all that. So
what has been what is the like average price? I mean, you guys sell this, right? It's like
so we don't, and we often get questions of like, people want to buy one to take as a totem to a festival. We don't sell totems because necessarily festivals are very stressful environments, whether it's you know, rain, dust, heat, books smacking it, putting their face on it. Accidents happen. We actually dropped it one time at Electric Forest and it broke a mirror. Luckily, we always carry extra, so it was no big deal. But yeah, so we don't sell them as totems because once it's out of our hands, it's only going to last so long. If it lasts a whole year, that's like lucky. We really rebuild it every like once a year, at least. So now we have kind of a collection. We have, I think, 4 of them. One is in rough shape, and then the other 3 are all functional. So yeah, when we were at Electric Forest, we actually brought 3 of them out. It's tough to bring all of them into the field. We never did that. Usually bring 1 out. Sometimes we bring 2. 3 is just a lot of work.
Did you guys drive or did you guys fly?
I usually fly because of COVID and travel costs and all that. I ended up driving out from Denver.
Yeah, I almost drove too.
Yeah. But anyway, to circle back to what we were talking about, we don't sell the totems because they take damage, they break, we have to rebuild them all the time. But the ones that we do sell through our company are they're higher end, they're made of glass and aluminum versus the ones that we take to festivals. Can't have those materials at a festival. They're dangerous, they could hurt somebody.
Right, exactly.
And obviously if they get damaged, they're much more expensive to replace. A glass mirror versus what we use for the totem, which is just plexiglass acrylic. That costs a few dollars versus, you know, $50, $70 or whatever the price is now.
Jesus.
The price of glass keeps going up. So yeah, much more lightweight for the totem, which surprises a lot of people when they're like, can I hold it? And they lift it up and it's like this whole thing with the pole in the hand and all of it is like less than 5 pounds. All the weight is in my backpack with like really heavy, like brick sized batteries. So yeah, I've been working my back out every festival that I go to. But
do they ever give you like a hard time at security when you like bring that in? They're like,
no, they never give us a hard time.
Yeah.
A lot of time they know us now, or at least if they don't, and we go in the first day and they see what we're doing and what our thing looks like, then they just, you know, they're like, okay, you guys are good. But yeah, so the ones that we sell, which are much higher end, are not meant for stressful environments like festivals. Those run $8,500, which is an absurd amount.
Woo!
It's more than most people, more than I would spend on one, certainly. But you know, weird people, art collectors.
I mean,
we have one on a yacht in Italy somewhere.
Yeah, if you're an art collector, I mean, you gotta have one.
Yes. Yeah. We have sold a few to people at festivals. I mean, you know, there are people with expendable income that go to festivals, obviously.
Disposable.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't. A lot of people are spending their last dollar to get there. So, you know, I don't know, all sorts of people, but yeah, it's been a wild ride. We've met all sorts of crazy people, and we've encountered a lot of roadblocks in our business that we're still fighting with as a result of COVID. A lot of it, supply chains up and down are just still, they're not going to be back to normal for a while. And so yeah, we've been fighting with a lot of that, but thankfully people who are willing to spend thousands of dollars on art are very patient people. We have several people who've been waiting about a year to get their units that we've had nearly completed, except for glass, which has been extremely difficult to get good quality glass. There's very few, and when I mean very few at this point, there's like one supplier that we know can do the job in this country, and we are it's like pulling teeth at sometimes to get them to do the work that they committed to doing and to care enough to do a good job. But we're working on that.
You're funny that you mentioned like pulling teeth, because I used to like pull teeth for a living.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know what's harder, pulling actual teeth or getting these guys to do the job that they are supposed to be doing. So,
it always depends on the tooth.
Yeah. I won't complain too much about that, but it's been a challenge. So we are very looking forward to getting good parts soon and getting more of these units out there. It's been obviously our volume is not super high, but we don't need a super high volume to keep going. You know, one order here and there is like, that's enough money to buy more parts, to pay ourselves, to do what we got to do to keep the business running. So
yeah, it's like quality versus quantity, you know. So did you take, because maybe like I saw a zoomed in version of it, but did you have like a life-sized one at Electric Forest, or am I just like, was it just zoomed in?
That is another group that did that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so there was another group that they had done the infinity portals as well
Mhm.
in the forest, which were like these just kind of flat infinity mirrors that were on the ground.
Mhm.
That was, I think, 2017 and 2018, and then we brought our Carl out in 2018 for the first time, and then we were a little surprised to see what looked like a big version of our work at the festival the next year. Um, yeah, I don't know exactly what to say about it other than it's nice when we get recognized as an original creation at the festival.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely cool because like when Maria was talking to me, she was happy you up. She's like you're I'm like, I'm telling you, the guy who literally came up with the infinity mirror design. Like, and I'm like, oh, okay. Because sometimes you get, it's like it's like when you see somebody with the LED shoes, right? And then you're like, oh, LED shoes, everyone's got LED shoes. Like, no, 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 this guy's the one that like literally made the original like LED shoe. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
obviously, then you got you
there's
people.
there's been other infinity mirror art before in the past,
Yeah.
of course. As far as we were aware, we were the first to do it in this shape, and more specifically do it with programmable
Hmm.
lighting. Um, and I think we still set ourselves apart. As far as I know, no one has done this where we have ours programmed to be able to be controlled live with the PlayStation 4 controller, which is what I do at
Wait,
festivals.
what?
Should have mentioned that one before. Yeah, so a lot of the time people will think it's audio reactive because it'll be going to the music in the middle of a festival crowd. And yeah, it's just me. I'm playing with it. I have a controller where I use all sorts of buttons to change what it's doing. I can make it bounce to the beat. I can make it speed up and slow down and do all sorts of stuff.
That's pretty badass. Can we get a close up of the
Yeah, absolutely.
video mirror?
Let me pull my camera out and see how close I can get it here.
I always love it when like there's like a show and tell because it like makes people want to see the YouTube video and they're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like a lot of the plays they come from like Spotify and they come from like SoundCloud. That's so cool.
Let's see how much distance we have on this guy. We got a little bit. I can reach the controller here. So yeah, I've got I'm like, my arms are stretched out as far as they'll go right now. That I can use. You kind of see.
Oh yeah, that's sick as hell, man.
This is a challenge to do both hands like this, but so this is like this mode right here, where it's kind of radiant, passing through the whole thing is usually what we have it on. And then as I use the triggers, if I can use these triggers here, and I'm playing with it with one hand all the time at the festival, just focus as much attention on it. But as I squeeze the triggers, it kind of shrinks and grows, and then I can also use the thumbstick here. If I go,
Yeah,
that changes the speed, so I can like. Yeah,
that's fucking crazy. I didn't know that. I thought that your design, like the LED lights, were just a consistent flow of whatever lights you already like you would bring it in with.
Yep, we are software guys, so
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
and it is a lot of fun. There is no better feeling in the world than being in a festival with a dozen hooks surrounding Carl, lives in their minds, and I'm just like, a song comes on where I know the song and I know the drop and I just know exactly what to do.
You're giving them a whole light show. It's so funny because I see some of your TikToks and like there was one where like somebody's just like staring at it and is like, oh my god, like getting a whole light show.
It's second nature on some level now. I think I can safely say I have the most experience in the world playing it on a with the PlayStation controller. So
One-handed.
yeah, one-handed. A lot of fun. Sorry, I had to switch around some camera
You're
settings.
good.
My beautiful face. And we're back.
Perfect.
But yeah, and so on some level, it's like second nature where I can. There's one video in particular that it's one of my favorites, and there's this guy that his name was Mason. He came up to us at Forest, and he'd been following us for a while. It gave me one of the best light shows I've ever seen in my life. I don't glove that much anymore. That's how I kind of got my start with like putting lights in people's faces, but I still appreciate the art so much. And so Mason came and gave me like one of the best light shows I've ever seen. And was just telling us like, I fucking love watching all your videos, and he pulled up this one from Lost Lands that's on my TikTok too. I think maybe it's the same one you're talking about. Um, and he was like, yeah, dude, the musicality on here is just like crazy and stuff. And I'm like, the funny thing is, you can hear me in that clip. I'm having a conversation with somebody, not paying attention to at all what I'm doing, and I'm just like, whatever. And so it's like I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm trying to brag, but it's more like just I spent so much time on the controller that like the distance from the controller to my frontal lobe is like they're the same now. So like I don't have to. It's muscle memory at this point playing with the controller. So
No, it's as easy as like typing for a living and you know where the keys are at. It's simple.
I don't have to really think about it at all.
Or somebody who plays the piano, you just because like instinctively know where it's at. Yeah.
It's the flow state that a lot of flow artists, glovers, poi, whatever, they'll when they've been doing it a long time and they know they have the muscle memory down. It's a lot like it's the same feeling as gloving in a way where I hear the music and it's translating into some kind of movement. So like playing with the controller and making Carl dance is basically like how I dance at festivals.
I love my I love my flow artists. I love people who they take that whole art in, because I mean if you think about it, like the music festival, it's just a big field of artists. Like whether you're a DJ, a painter, a software engineer, a photographer, we're all just creating art.
Yep.
And even the people who are just in the crowd making a TikTok, you're an artist, man. You're creating something funny, where you're creating content, and people don't even realize it. I mean, obviously you have your people that are just there for the fun, and they're gonna dabble in whatever's available there. But I mean, that's the whole point of an artist, to put on a show for somebody else. So it's like a give and receive type of deal at these festivals.
Yeah,
and it's absolutely really cool to be it's really cool to be on the other side, giving the show. It's pretty bad. It's festivals are more than just the DJs, and people forget that. And it's Oh, I think you're muted. Hold on. Your audio is it me? Let me check. I don't know why I did that. The audio is weird. Am I muted? Hey, we're back.
Now?
Yep.
Sweet.
Testing?
Yep, I got you.
Okay, cool. I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, no, I was just saying, like, it's just really cool being on the like receiving end where you're the one giving the show, because a lot of people forget like a festival is more than just the DJ playing the song for the listeners. I mean, yeah, if you want that, go to Ultra Music Festival, dude. That's all they have there, right? But I think we're going into more of like a more of a music and arts experience rather than festivals these days. I mean, Lightning in a Bottle was great, right? You have like the slides. I mean, the EDC has their own little towns. You got a lot of places are doing the whole carnival theme to like their festivals, which is super cheap and super easy. And I'm glad that people are doing it, because I feel like the carnival scene is kind of dying out, and it's like just really sad. But
yeah, and that's one reason I love Shambhala so much, is there's so much that beyond just, I mean, the stage production obviously is amazing. The talent is always amazing, but the energy that people bring, what you have to do at the festival. One of the best parts about it is that so it's near the town Salmo, and the Salmo River flows right along the festival. One of the stages, called the living room stage, is like basically on the river. But every day when it's really hot out, people will go for 3, 4, 5 hours and just go chill at the river all day, play music,
it's just so cool,
and it's like that's the best part of the festival. Without that, it would still be an amazing festival, but it's just one more thing that sets it apart.
And I think it just comes with maybe age. I don't see like a lot of like younger people, like first timers, don't really go to these kind of things. They really want to see their favorite artist for the first time. Once you've seen your favorite artist for 20 times and you've gone to as many festivals as we've gone to, it's one of those things where like you really just want to be there for the experience now. And honestly, it's that then you tend to go to only like experience festivals, and you're like, okay, like immersive type ones. I'm like, all right. Well,
I mean, the Ultra and EDC and what all those production is just through the roof, and you have your whole spectrum. Like that's what they focus on, so that they do that very, very well. And you're just going to get a different experience from every festival. But I think you're right that people are definitely gravitating towards festivals that offer more than just high production.
Yeah. What I kind of want to get your input and opinion on two festivals. So I want to talk about your experience with Electric Forest. Actually, let's talk about three. Let's throw Shambhala in there as well. I know we talked a little bit about it, but let's just talk about your opinion and what you rate it. Let's do Electric Forest first. Let's do Shambhala, and then we'll skip to the third one being Odyssey Music Festival. So
Sure. Okay, so Shambhala, obviously that one's gonna get a solid 9.5 out of 10 from me. It's an incredible experience. It's on the smaller end. It's about, I think, 20,000, 15 to 20,000 is what it's usually been. It's an effort to get to, which necessarily puts a barrier in front of people who don't really want to put the effort in to get there. The people that come are always amazing, whether it's veterans or even the first timers this year, especially, I noticed brought the same energy that all the veterans brought. Nothing but just love and, wanting to meet people, wanting to interact with people on a deeper level. The river obviously is just the best thing in the world.
dude, you make me want to go. Like,
those that are interested in substances, the festival focuses very heavily on harm reduction, and they have what the name of the company is called Anchors, and what they do is they have multiple mass spectrometer machines on site at the very entrance of the festival. And if you have a substance, you take it to them, they test it, they will be able to see like the actual chemical breakdown, and then they post they have like a board on the front, like a TV screen or whatever, and they will post details about substances that have been tested. So whether it was something that was brought in as ketamine, and whether it tested as ketamine or whatever, some bath salts or something like that. And they will, if it's something bad or whatever, they'll like describe like what kind of baggie it came in, maybe like what the person looked like that was dealing it or whatever. So,
well, Shambhala's in Canada, right?
It is in Canada. It's just north of Spokane, Washington. A few
And
hours.
then I thought Canada like decriminalized or made it legal.
So THC marijuana is fully legalized nationwide. I'm not sure what the state of some other things may have been decriminalized. I think they still have drug laws for sure, but it's not quite to the level that I think Oregon is going here soon.
How do they get away with testing the drugs without getting you in trouble?
That's a great question, and I actually don't know that. I would really like to know. I think maybe because they are not selling anything, and they are not buying anything, and they are not advertising the sale of anything, and they are not. I guess technically they're handling the substance, but they're not. It's never in their possession. I
mean, yeah.
I'm sure there's all sorts of loopholes, but the fact it could just be that the state knows what's going on at the festival, and they know that the people that matter have an understanding that letting them do this is better than not letting them do this, because then you have bad consequences as a result of bad drugs being ingested, and then people die of fentanyl or whatever,
I mean, we all had different government. I mean, sometimes I feel like our government would
ours seems to care a little bit less. I don't know. I mean, Canadians, I'm sure, have complaints about the Canadian government.
True.
Ones surely, but I think Canada's doing at least a few things better.
Exactly. So talk to me about Electric Forest. What do you rate this?
Electric Forest is definitely one of my all-time favorites. It's changed a little bit over the years.
In a good way or a bad way?
Yeah. And I've been to every year pretty much since that. And then the 2 years that there were 2 weekends, I did double weekends, and usually I have a really big group camp. So I've done group camping since 2014.
I like that. I like that. Somebody was telling me about that. I forget who it was, but they were telling me about like it being group camping and stuff. I'm like, dude, that's so badass.
Yeah, so we've been doing that since 2014, and we've basically doubled in size every year since then. Up until like this year and last year, we had a little bit of a decrease just because so many, extenuating circumstances. A lot of people weren't coming for one reason or another, travel costs, whatever. So But we are around 100 to 150 people in our group camp nowadays, which is super fun and super awesome because we all actually pretty much, those who haven't been around like for several years, most of us know each other, but even like the new people that come in, it's not just random people, it's somebody inviting a close friend or whatever. So we're a very tight knit group. We don't obviously not everyone gets that much time with every single person in the group necessarily when you have that many people, but we at least have a large chill area, and we're very organized, and yeah, we've all just been friends for a long time. So it's every year gets 10% better. We learn how to do it a little better. Our organization gets a little better. A few more people chip in time, effort, energy. So it's we're just building on it every time.
What are the pros and cons of like Electric Forest? Just
Yeah,
generalized.
so Electric Forest as a whole, I would give Electric Forest a solid 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I would say the things they do very well are obviously production off the charts, the things to do, especially in the forest, all sorts of art installations. They've got a scavenger hunt. They've got, wandering entertainers that will be all dressed as whatever different themed kind of things, fairies or acrobats or whatever, and they'll interact with people and they'll really, role play whatever it is that they're pretending to be. So did I say lineup's always amazing. This year, who was it? It was like Porter Robinson, Slander, Fisher.
I definitely like last year's lineup a little better, but
it was definitely a downgrade from the last
yeah.
2020 line, what the 2020 lineup was supposed to be, but it was still, they have top tier acts, and the undercard, the bass undercard. I'm a bass guy.
Mhm.
I can vibe to house music. I can vibe to all sorts of music, but like bass is my thing, and
Yep.
so the undercard for bass was off the charts this year. And it's been like that lineup at a lot of festivals. It was a lot of the same artists at Shambhala too, so I was happy about that. People were like, "Oh, the lineup sucks. Like, I'm not going. I won't have anything." I was still like I had so many conflicts even with the shitty lineup. So
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and maybe the thing that Electric Forest does best is community engagement. They care about the community. They want the community to be involved. They've seen that what we as a group camp have been doing for several years, and they opened a line of communication with me after 2019, and we had all sorts of conversations back and forth about like how they can support what we're doing, what we need to do what we're doing bigger and better, what we can do for the festival, etc. And so one thing we had done in 2019 was we had a Super Smash Brothers tournament at our camp on Wednesday. During our pre-party, we brought some DJ equipment, some speakers, we were playing music, and I had posted on one of the Electric Forest Facebook groups, and I was like, hey, let's play some Smash Bros. Like, who wants to bring a Switch? We donated a Switch. It was all for charity too. We did like a $10 entry, but everyone who brought in a Switch and controllers, they wouldn't have to pay the entry fee. And then so the name of our group camp is Face Melt Fam, and we have a whole kind of culture surrounding that. And we have like a bunch of merch, and I do like pin designs, and we have like custom jerseys. And so the prize for we had like top 3 winners would get prizes of pin packs and like flag with our logo on it and all sorts of stuff.
That's badass, man.
And then the first place winner also got a custom jersey. And then we raised, like a couple $100 for charity, which was super cool. So Forrest saw that and they really liked it. And so they have this program called the Wish Machine, where you can make a wish, and it's basically like, I will do XYZ if Forrest supports in whatever way. And so my wish was that I wanted to throw a gaming tournament at our camp for charity, and Forrest would support it by basically helping provide everything that was needed to make that happen. So they let us bring a generator to power a bunch of monitors and switches. They paid a team, a couple guys from Chicago who run a LAN center out there to drive out, bring a bunch of monitors, a bunch of switches, controllers, games, all that stuff. They had some Forest crew come on Wednesday with like, huge tables and chairs and all that stuff and help us set up. We had like a big section of our group camp on one end that was just empty space. We had our own, our DJ equipment and everything kind of set up again. And so it was like dance floor area, but we turned part of it into the gaming center. So we had a bunch of setups going. And since we brought 3 of our Carl totems this year, we have one that we built this year, one that we built last year, and then one from 2019. And so we set all those up on each table. We just kind of like jerry rigged them, taped the pole to the end of the table, and then each one has the PlayStation controller. So once we started playing music late at night, people would come by our camp and they would kind of see the totems from far away, and that would catch their eye, and they'd come up. And I don't remember how many times I heard somebody go, "Wait, what the fuck is going on here? This is Mario Kart?" So people would just come up and they would just like, can I just jump on and play? And their minds were blown. Like, yeah, you don't have to pay anything. You can just pick up a controller and start playing. So yeah, people had a ton of fun. They would play on the Switch system.
Yeah.
They'd
I mean,
play with the Carl, the
EDC
controllers just sitting there.
EDC took that idea because if you go to the Pixel Terror, Jesus Christ, if you go to the Pixel themed like town, they have like Xbox controllers and TVs and
That's
stuff.
amazing. I love it. I mean, I think you know, there's a huge overlap between the EDM community and the gamer community.
Oh yeah.
And I remember at one point, I want to say it was right before COVID hit, maybe, or maybe it was even during COVID, that Insomniac was planning to do some kind of combo music festival gaming tournament, and it never happened. I think it was called Play or something like that. This is all from 2 years ago memory. My memory's getting old. I'm getting old. My memory's going, but
Alzheimer's.
Yeah, so there's definitely an overlap there, and obviously Insomniac recognizes that because they had this kind of idea in the works, and they're doing stuff like that at EDC. So I'm very excited to see more of that in the future. I would love to go to an event that is a music festival and a big gaming tournament. And a lot of gaming tournaments will have like musical acts, right? I went to what was it? Was it BlizzCon? I want to say it was BlizzCon a few years ago, and they had their whole Overwatch Pro League tournament.
I was huge on Overwatch, man. I used to play all the time.
Played a set afterwards. Yeah. So yeah, that was super cool. If I'm remembering that right, I think it was BlizzCon. Yeah, pre-COVID times. It's been
the good old days. Oh yeah, I used to play a lot of Overwatch, like addictively. Oh, yeah, too much.
I'm still there. I played a long time ago and then kind of fell off, and then COVID hit, and we had a bunch of free time, and a bunch of my friends and I, some people in the festival scene and the music scene, some music producers, we were like, "Hey, you guys want to play again?" And so we've been playing consistently for the last.
Really, I've simmered down a little bit. Like right now, I just play on a Switch. I just play like I'm like playing some Pokemon, and that's literally as far as it goes because I don't have like the time to really like.
It's hard to find the time nowadays. You gotta carve out the time.
I'm not trying to carve out time to play.
every day we get older and we have new hobbies, and we try and fit more hobbies into what we're doing. Like I've recently gotten into photography, and I'm like, I knew it would take time, but like I didn't realize how much time I would spend on it. Like editing photos from a
editing
festival
photos takes forever. I used to during COVID, man. I was taking pictures for DJs, and let me tell you, man, you gotta have those pictures like ready.
Yeah, they want them fast.
Yeah, man. I'm like, shit, dude. Like I have a life. Like I have a real job.
And it's like it's one thing too if you're getting paid for it, but if you're just doing it as a hobby, it's harder to find the time to squeeze it in. So
or even if you just do it just for tickets, it's like you did this for like a free ticket. I'm like, yeah, well, the festival already passed. At this point, it's my time. Like, damn.
Yeah, that's pretty standard in the festival industry.
Yeah.
Part of my festival background is also being a part of the online publication festival squad. And yeah, that's pretty much standard in the industry, is like photographers go in exchange for a ticket, or people doing contributing, writing an article,
blogs.
That's, you get a ticket in exchange. There's not a whole lot of money.
I'm literally just getting into that side of the EDM community. I was just on the phone with somebody before this podcast episode, and I'm trying to basically manage and like be like editorial in chief for certain things and get all that stuff started, and it's gonna be a fun career path.
Yes.
So we got one more left. That was Odyssey Music Festival. What is your opinion? This is Odyssey Music Festival was a first time festival over at St. Pete. They've never done this before. What is your opinion?
Yeah, so Odyssey, thrown by my friends Tom and Christine out in St. Pete, Florida. I linked up with them about a year ago. I want to say maybe it was longer than that. I want to say it was about a year ago. They are obviously super involved in the house scene down there. They got their label Rossum Records. Rossum something. I think it's Rossum Records. And they are also super into the genre wave, which is an up and coming genre that a lot of people still don't know about. But I've been into wave music for 5 years now, since 2017, 2018. The main wave label in America is called Vibe Digital, and so I do a lot with them. I manage one of the artists on Vibe Digital. I run the live streams and do visuals and all that.
Okay.
And the wave scene is very small. So Tom and Christine now also have a wave label. It's called The Wave Stage. And so that's how I kind of got linked up with them. There's basically one Facebook community group for wave music called Wave City. And so, if anyone new is entering the space, like, it's very easy to get involved with everyone else who's into that music. So when they started, getting artists to release on their label, and especially when they announced OMF, like, that was all a really big deal. And they have never thrown a festival before. Tom has been doing, local events in St. Pete for a while. I think, I'm not sure exactly how long, but at least a couple, 3 years, something like that. And he's made a name for himself out there. He's been building this community mainly around house music, but also getting wave kind of involved in that. And so they turned the Wave Stage label. They built a stage around that. They had the Wave Stage at the festival. 3 stages at that festival total. They had the Rossum stage, which was like the main stage, and they had Rafa Barrios was he the head?
He was the headliner. Yeah, he was the last one to play. He was playing same time as Yeti, I believe.
Yeah. So yeah, Yeti was the headliner for the Wave Stage. You had Rafa on Rossum. And I actually can't remember the name of the third stage. It was kind of a smaller one by the water.
Yeah. It was in front of the Odyssey Elixir drinks. That's all I know.
The Odyssey stage, yeah, because sponsored by Odyssey Elixir. It's like a mushroom non-alcoholic White Claw seltzer.
Yeah.
And I was actually very surprised. It was pretty damn good.
It was pretty good, right?
I'm a fan, so they're not paying me to say this. Go get some mushroom drink, like, with mushroom benefits without having like a mushroomy taste. So I was happy about that. But yeah, super cool to see them throw this event. It was not very big. I think it was supposed to be 1,500 cap. I couldn't really tell how many people were actually there. It was at Vinoy Park on the waterfront in St. Pete, and the amount of space they had taken up was quite a bit, actually. Like, you couldn't see, if you were at the Wave Stage, you could not see the main stage. You had to kind of like walk down a sidewalk path around the corner. And then,
dude, I was in love with the venue. I thought the venue was great, and I was like,
the venue was beautiful. I mean,
like, I'm not really from Florida. I just moved here, right? I came from Denver. It was like my second time at Vinoy Park. First time was for Pride Parade. Second time was for this, and I was like this. There was so much like real estate, so much they could. I was getting like, you start getting all these ideas that you could also do. Like, whoa, what if like they did this, and then it's like,
yeah. So they'd carved out a healthy footprint, which obviously it never felt crowded. It made it feel a little empty sometimes. And like, as you'd walk around, you'd be like, no, there are people here. Like, I can see a lot of people, but sometimes, it just felt a little segmented off, which, I don't know, it's a trade-off you have to make, because the sound was really, really good. And the way they had the stages set up and angled, there was no sound bleed ever. You're never hearing multiple stages. So
yeah.
I don't know. I've never thrown a festival. I can try and sit here and nitpick at all these things and come up with what I think are better ideas. But I think, all things considered, it was amazingly well organized. The marketing and like the way they were pushing it beforehand, they killed it. And the fact that, like, I was on my flight there a couple nights before, or the night before, and the people next to me knew what the festival was. They were on their way back to St. Pete because they lived there. They're like, oh yeah, is that Cyberpunk festival by the water? And I'm like, yeah, all right, people know what's happening. Yeah, that's dope. And the lineup was not anything crazy. Like, they didn't spend $1 million on talent. So the fact that, and it was so hot. Like, I know
that's like something you can't even control. It's just like, it is what it is. I mean, the best you could do is maybe like, I don't know, have like mist fans on certain corners. I don't know.
More tents for shade. Like, it was brutal not having any shade really. There was like I forget what the alcohol brand was, but they had a tent at the wave stage, kind of like near the back, and that was a little bit, but you needed to have way more.
I know my ass was underneath the Festival Babes tent with my little AC unit.
Yeah.
Like fuck, I thought I was gonna be walking around a lot more. I'm like, my ass is sitting down right here until it cools down.
Seriously. And like Forest was really hot. Shambhala was hotter and dustier, and I was not prepared for the Florida heat. I actually ended up leaving. I was gonna fly out on Monday night, and I ended up paying extra to switch my flight to Sunday night because I was like, I cannot stay in Florida one more day. Like I will actually die here. This is how I die. I must have burned 2,000 calories on Saturday just sweating.
I was gonna say, dude, the amount, dude, I was when I was making my TikToks, making my YouTube videos, I could see just sweat dripping. That I'm like, I can't help it. I'm sweating this much. It just is what it is.
When I was editing photos, I also did photo for the event, which was super fun. I just got this camera that I'm on right now is a Sony A7 IV, and I just picked it up a few months ago because I was like, always wanted to get into photography, and you know what, we're doing it right now. And so I ended up shooting Odyssey, and also because I managed one of the artists who played at the Wave stage. His name is Back When. Go check him out. His music's amazing, and so I got to, through that connection, also I got to do photo. And yeah, shooting photo was super fun, especially daytime event, way easier than a nighttime event.
Oh my God, 100 times, man. It's like when you don't have to worry about lighting, it saves you literally all the trouble. I was gonna bring my light for my camera, and I was like, oh, I could do pictures, this and this. But honestly, I was so preoccupied with just all the filming. There was no way I was gonna be able to like take pictures and shit. I'm like, no, like it's one or the other at some points.
But yeah, that was super fun. But you can, like, in some of my pictures when I was editing them, I was like, if I turn the shadows up too much, you can see all the sweat stains on some, even the black t-shirts, like you could just see sweat stains everywhere. So I tried to like edit some of that out. But yeah, it was a hot one. So more shade would have been great. It actually did cause some issues, unfortunately,
at the base stage, right?
Stage, where as the sun started to move, they just needed more canopies, I guess, to like, make sure that all the audio equipment was never in the sunlight, because when the sun moved and the canopy that was protecting it was not protecting it anymore, it actually caused the amps to overheat, and it cut out quite a bit during a couple sets. But they figured that out. You know, you can't know everything that's going to happen ahead of time, especially if it's your first festival. So
100%, man. And like
can't hold that too much against them. They, you know, as soon as it started happening, they identified what was going on. They did everything.
It's always about like how you react to a problem that really sets you apart. You know what I mean? Can you come up with a solution mid festival? That's really what people are looking for. Yeah,
people were on it, and they took care of it, so it was fine for the rest of the night. So that was good to see. But yeah, obviously venue is dope. Team throwing it, amazing. Marketing and branding and everything on point. Festival vibes, like people who came and like how it felt to be there.
Yeah,
awesome.
It definitely gave me like picnic at the, or a concert at the park type vibes. That's how I kind of describe it. Very like, you know, it wasn't like hardcore. It was just something relaxing, something to do.
Like it was a chill Saturday, and like they didn't, you know, tickets were not absurdly expensive. I think I paid $100 for a VIP ticket or something like that. Like so it was very, very affordable, and then they had after parties going on afterwards. So yeah, I think they knocked it out of the park for the first year. They surely learned a lot. They, comparing to other festivals that will remain unnamed, they definitely did not cut corners at the expense of festival attendees.
Yeah,
they had security, they had fencing, which is more than I can say for other festivals I've been to in the last couple of years. So
well, Neil, this has been great, man. I'm really glad that we made this happen. I know we've had to reschedule a couple times. I'm glad we didn't reschedule today. I was like, oh no, is it gonna do it?
So funny is that I didn't know you were gonna be at Odyssey, and then we just happened to run into each other, and then we were like, yo, we gotta make this happen this week.
Let's just do it right now.
I'm glad we did it.
Where can people find you? If you could just jot down all your info.
You can find me mainly on Instagram at Phozee, Phozee. That's the main spot. I'm on all the socials, but
I'll put in your TikTok, I'll put in your Instagram on the description down below. Cool. And then this is just for the viewers. This episode is available on all major streaming platforms, to include, I think Amazon Music just came up with their own podcast section, so it's available there too. If you guys want to watch and see the infinity mirror in person, I do have this available on YouTube, so you can go ahead, go to the link. It should be available there. And yep, there it is. I love being able to have
Not focused at all, but and lighting is awful.
it gives you people like a visual in case you're just listening to this. We do have it on YouTube. But yeah, that is it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. And like I say at every episode, I will catch y'all at the next one.